Today, Brian Kelly asked if there was a discussion about putting Garrett Nussmeier in the game on Sunday. He said, no, there was never a conversation about that. Jayden is our #1 quarterback, is what he said. I'll just ask you an open-ended question, Jeremy, and you can take it whichever direction you feel like is necessary. Your thoughts on the quarterback situation as we see it entering week 2?
I think I know we've heard a lot about this being an open competition and both guys are just into it, lasted down to the wire. We're going to announce, I think this kind of was decided a very, very long time ago, that Jayden Daniels was going to be the quarterback of this team. And hearing the way, they were talking about him going to the team, he's the leader of this locker room, all this stuff. Like, I don't think Garrett's going to play much this season. I think it's Jayden's team, and they're going to trust him to go out there and help this team win football games. And I just think that's the kind of decision that they're going to do. And just watching that first game again, I've watched it for the third time. It's kind of becoming a sore look on my eyes watching it as much as I have. But there's a lot of narratives out there that, the offensive line was just terrible. They didn't give him any time to throw. I don't think that was the case. I think, LSU was very, very confused with what, Florida State was doing blitz-wise to start that game. And they weren't, putting the offense in, opportunities to block some of that stuff up. And Jayden just – he was holding on to the ball too long, especially when that blitz is coming. You got to get the ball out quick, and I think he was holding on to the ball. And you look at the yards from the first 3 quarters. It just wasn't what you want to have from an LSU offense. And obviously, once they started dropping 8 in the coverage and starting going to prevent, it looked like you were moving the ball, but they were giving you those yards. So I think going forward, they're just gonna have to be, they're gonna have to put your, your sword in the ground, and they're riding out with Jayden. But I think if that's gonna be the case, they're gonna have to really change this offense. Too many drop back passes, too much traditional offense. You're going to have to get them on the run, more quarterback design runs, and really tailor this entire offense around Jayden Daniels, because looking at it, I think it's going to be tough to trust the running backs to get rushing yards to game in and game out, especially once these defensive lines get a lot tougher once you get this SEC schedule. So you have to build this offense around Jayden Daniels and kind of see what it brings. But right now, I just don't think it's going to be to the level that I would love to see, because you have so many weapons on the outside. I just think he's not going to be able to hook up with those guys on a consistent enough basis to really let this offense be the offense I think it could be.
Okay, my response a little bit. Look, I thought Florida State had a lot of guys in the backfield all night. Whether they were blitzing, whether they were winning one-on-ones. Brian Kelly just said in his postgame that they did a really good job of scheming to create one-on-ones with their defensive line. And I thought Jayden Daniels – may have gone too early sometimes, may have ducked too early sometimes, but more often than not, he was flushed out or had to do that and make guys miss. And I think his athleticism was on display. I thought he did a pretty good job. I thought he played a pretty good game based on what they had in front of him. Was it perfect? No, it wasn't. But his speed is evident. His playmaking ability is evident. And then in the second half, when they went tempo, outside of the last drive, which was absolutely pre-mint, but the 2 before that where they drove down over 70 yards and scored touchdowns, I thought the offense looked pretty good. I was pretty impressed with how he played. So I like that. Is this, you clearly are in the camp that you think Garrett Nussmeier is a better fit for this LSU team, correct?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. Is that because you believe in Garrett Nussmeier's skill set, or is it because you just don't see it in Jayden Daniels?
I think Jayden can be coached, man. He's played a lot of college football. He's been obviously played a lot of snaps, been in a lot of big-time games. I just don't love where his eyes are. And watching that film, even watching the first drive, he had guys open. He's not looking in the second windows. And I know guys are coming after you. You're getting pressure on you. But sometimes you have to sit in there and make those throws. And I saw just too many occasions where, guys are running in the middle of the field wide open, and he's just not looking to get the ball to those guys. He's kind of looking, to his first read and kind of looking to run. And I think for me, looking at Garrett, he can't depend on his legs like Jayden does. So his eyes, he has to be a lot more disciplined with his eyes and where he has to go with the football. And to me, these receivers were getting open, man. I'm looking at, I watched the game. Carter did a great job. Carter the Power, he did a great job breaking it down and kind of looking at, where Jayden's eyes should have been. And a lot of times we're getting these little hook routes, 5-yard routes to get the ball out. And you saw him when he started having success towards the end of the game. That's what he was doing. He was getting the ball out quick, getting the ball to guys and letting them kind of make some yards after the catch. And I think he has to continue to do that. But, as the season goes on, teams are going to start taking those quick passes away, and he's going to have to look down the field. And I'm still trying to think of some completions where he did have some big 15 to 20-yard completions down the field. A lot of it was just dinking and dunking. So you're going to have to find a way to make big-time throws. If he can't do that, this offense is going to really, really struggle in big-time games to move the football.
And, look, we won't learn anything on Saturday. Saturday is a party. You go out there and tailgate for the first time in a year. You can see the band go down the hill. You go watch the game. It's 28-0 or 35-3 or whatever it is at halftime, and then the second half is an empty Tiger Stadium, and you hope nobody gets hurt, and you get on home. And Southern takes their check, to North Baton Rouge. It's you can't learn anything about the team on Saturday night, but hopefully it functions pretty well, and then we'll figure it out in the conference opener against Mississippi State what it looks like. I do think Garrett's going to play a little bit in the second half of this game against Southern. And I do think there will come a time where Garrett does play, because I think all season long, I don't think this offense is going to run like a finely tuned machine. It's not going to look like it did in 2013 or certainly 2019 when you had a quarterback that was kind of in control. And I think there are going to be times where LSU's offense really struggles, and I do think at a certain point they'll go with Nussmeier. I think, and this is just a guess, he didn't say this at all, I think they knew that a huge part of what they were going to have to do on Saturday was with Jayden Daniels extending plays and even just running, because they were going to get beat sometimes at the line of scrimmage. Nuss gives you a little of that, but Daniels gives you more, and I think that's why they stuck with him in the first game. I think at some point, especially after Nuss has played against Southern and maybe played against New Mexico, maybe he's got his feet wet, and I feel like you can do something a little bit differently in a different game moving forward. But I do think he's going to get a chance.
Yeah, I hope so. And to me, my biggest gripe, people are going to think I'm some big Jayden Daniels hater. I don't want to see the kids succeed. No, that's not the case at all. I think for me, even watching Jayden in that game, I would love just to make one small adjustment. When you do look to extend, just keep your eyes down the field. I think every time he's pulling it down, he's tucking it, and he's looking to run. And there's so many athletes on this offense. It's hard to cover these guys for 3 and 4 seconds. If you can just continue to keep your eyes down the field, these guys are on cover, and they'll continue to make plays. I just think he has a big learning curve. To me, it looked a lot like, the Jayden Daniels from that 2021 season, not his freshman season, going to the game when as far as him throwing the football. I think we all know the runner he is. He put that on full display, but I just know that Florida State defense isn't going to be anywhere remotely close to the best defense you're going to play this season. So you're going to have, your quarterback just be a lot more disciplined with his eyes. And I think if Jayden can do that, he can progress this season. But I think he's just going to have to play a lot better than he did in that first game for this offense to be what we can think.
There were a lot of, Kayshawn runs a slant and he's open for a touchdown. Jayden Daniels hits him in the shoulder pad and he's not looking. And that's you almost had a touchdown pass to Kayshawn on the first drive when he took that deep shot and threw one-on-one to the best player on the field and didn't quite get it there. I mean, there were issues on the offensive line. There were issues sometimes Jayden Daniels had happy feet. There were issues with some drops. There were issues with some wide receivers not looking. There just were issues all over the offense. You couldn't run the ball either, which doesn't help. And so there were issues all over the place. I kind of lean towards, I thought that Jayden Daniels was pretty good in the game. It was just a really tough spot because I do think LSU's offensive line got beat more often than it didn't in the game last night. So we'll see. They're going to continue to go out there and practice. They're going to continue to they got a couple games here coming up that should get out of hand in the second half, and we'll get more looks at other quarterbacks. But right now, Brian Kelly says that Jayden is our number one quarterback. That's the quote that he gave from the press conference today. I think that's obviously going to be the case moving forward here, but I think it could change at some certain point.
Thanks so much for watching Hunt Hill on YouTube.
Now do us a favor. Hit the red subscribe button below and throw us a like. We'll see you next time.